Trump has filled his cabinet and everyone around him with con men, grifters, and clowns because he knows that the best way to rob someone is to create a distraction. The best distraction is entertainment, and what's more entertaining than a buffoon? It's been 10 years since the death of Harambe, and the worst people you know, the worst people in the world, are pretending like they give a shit. Trump's White House posted the cringiest thing I have ever seen. Today, we remember a legend. On this day in history, Harambe would have celebrated another birthday. Tomorrow marks 10 years since we lost him. Is this a joke? I mean, I know they're a joke, but is this a joke? What the hell am I looking at right now? Because how is this the official White House Twitter account? And now that they tweeted this out, the media has to pretend like this is actually news.
Today marks 10 years since a child fell into the gorilla exhibit at the Cincinnati Zoo, leading to the death of one of the gorillas, Harambe.
Because Fox News is state media now, they have to follow everything that Trump does, even if it makes them look unserious. They're trying so hard to pretend like Harambe's death was an actual cultural moment that we should all revere like it's 9/11. I can't, dude. And let me just say that it was the kid's fault. The hell was he doing climbing all those walls like an ape, ruining the life of a very civilized and relatively gentle gorilla? Now, if you don't know who Harambe is because you had a life in 2016, he's a hero. A legend, a gorilla who lost... Okay, no, I'm not going to keep doing that. It's a meme. It's a meme. Okay, the White House just made Harambe a state funeral, and I cannot stress enough that this is the timeline that we live in. Next, we'll get another tweet that says a second gorilla has hit... They know this is a joke. They know that. Being cringe is their MO. This is weaponized self-embarrassment. It is pick-me loser energy harvested, detonated as a distraction to hide the truth. They know that people will think it's absurd and ridiculous that they're wasting their time with a joke memorial post about a gorilla. You see the same tactic across the Trump administration. Like, here's Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, and look what this genius thought was so important that he just had to write down. Here's the headline from the Daily Beast. Trump's goon, I don't think we should be using that word anymore, cringe note in cabinet meeting revealed. It says, resilience, Operation Economic Fury, just in time, just in case. Resilience again, just in case you forgot it. What does it mean for the United States that our leaders are this dumb? Resilience is clearly a buzzword that has been workshopped by the White House, and I'm sure it took them millions of dollars and months to come up with that brilliant plan, intended to mask the economic turmoil created by Trump's war in Iran. When asked for comment on Wednesday after the European Central Bank warned the president could be steering the country to a financial crisis, spokesperson Kush Desai told the Daily Beast, in part, the American economy has been resilient under President Trump because his economic agenda has a proven track record. Where? Where is this proven track record? Because as far as I'm concerned, as far as I'm seeing, everyone is broke, eating sleep for dinner. Among Bessent's other notes was the codename Operation Epic Fury, a play on the name for the U.S.-Israeli mission in Iran, Operation Epic Fury. Oh my God. This is the equivalent of taking notes at the children's table and acting like it's a trade secret that lollipops taste good. The same people who are poisoning our forests are pretending like they give a shit about resilience, taking advantage of human rights protections to lay off thousands of environmental scientists. Like, let's use Harambe as an example. There are endless Harambe merch and jokes and memes, a reoccurring folk hero of the internet that is completely divorced from politics. He's more likely to show up on a t-shirt at a college basketball game than he is on the official White House account. Harambe is a 10-year-old meme that millennials and Gen Z created to echo the sentiments of injustice that we all feel towards our neoliberal overlords, just taken to the extreme, put on a literal gorilla. Because we actually care about the well-being of gorillas in zoos, for example. And they, meaning MAGA, MAGA and all of their anti-environmental allies couldn't care less if they live or die. They only care about the meme. Here's the headline from the New York Times: Waste, Fauci, and transgender mice, how MAGA is warming to animal rights. On the surface, the administration is using Harambe as the face of their recent push to embrace animal rights. Here's from the reporting. After decades of being dismissed by many conservatives as a project of the political left, the cause of animal rights is being embraced by leading figures in President Trump's Make America Great Again movement, albeit in a way that fits into their anti-government, pro-meat-eating ethos. On Mr. Trump's watch, a string of federal agencies, including the Environmental Protection Agency and the Department of Defense and FDA, have taken steps to curb animal research. So has the National Institutes of Health, the world's largest funder of biomedical research. The Trump administration is also quietly cooperating with long-established animal welfare groups like PETA, who I think we all know is pretty much the opposite of People for Ethical Treatment of Animals, which has spent decades cultivating allies on both the left and the right. You might be thinking, oh, wow, that's good, right? Isn't that great? MAGA is finally pro-animal. Well, actually, you're not thinking that at all because you're smart enough to know that this is all a ruse. It's a farce. The real goal of this media push is to frame the reduction of science and biomedical funding as pro-animal rights. Here is an article from the Animal Welfare Institute, Animal Experimentation Under Trump: The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. The Trump administration determined to drastically cut research funding by capping, canceling, or delaying funds provided by national funding agencies. At the time of writing, approximately 3,000 already approved NIH and National Science Foundation grants have been terminated. Meanwhile, new NIH grant applications are processing at half the historic rate, and the NSF stopped awarding new grants altogether. These largely administrative and facility costs added to grants go towards keeping the lights on. At many institutions, some percentage of these go toward animal welfare-related expenses. So in reality, in the real world, the way that the Trump administration is doing this will end up with more animal suffering, not less. AWI strongly supports a transition away from the use of animals in experimentation, but this must be done in a manner that does not leave animals and people in the dust. And I think we can all agree with that. Nobody wants to see rats and rabbits being experimented on unjustly, but there is some level of animal involvement in biomedical research that just has to be there in order to make sure that it's safe for us humans. What the Trump administration is doing, it goes far beyond animal rights. Broad cuts to research without allocating funding for rehoming eligible animals will, in short, result in severely compromised welfare and mass euthanasia of animals currently housed in laboratories. As a science-based organization committed to advancing the welfare of all animals, AWI urges more thoughtful resolutions. Now, do you think that the White House is heeding the call from the Animal Welfare Institute? No. They're running a meme page, and no one in the media is apparently allowed to just call it what it is: a distraction. They are playing stupid because they think that you're stupid. Resilience, Operation Epic Fury. He wrote down all the bullshit buzzwords as if they were holy texts. Clearly, Scott and Trump had every intention of those buzzwords being photographed as if an over-the-shoulder shot makes this dribble insider information and therefore important, and MAGA is going to eat that up. But you watch U.S. Democratic Socialists, so the real joke is on them. Hit subscribe and check out another video cutting straight through all the distractions.